laboratories, test tubes, researchers, etc. Well, the county has those, but all the test tubes in the world won't help you find West Nile virus any sooner. You know what works well? Chickens. Fowl are friends to mosquitoes. Remember, they're the ones who carry West Nile.
Push comes to shove, a mosquito will bite anything that's got blood.
But chances are the first things they'll bite will be birds. So the first things that test positive for West Nile will usually be birds.
You've got a problem. You know you've got a problem when these guys convert. We don't always get reports from vets. We don't always get reports immediately from the hospitals. These guys were out there every 2 weeks, and so they're the first ones that are going to convert, and we're going to know about it.
So how do you find out? You can't ask a chicken. You've got to bleed them. That's right, blood. Not a lot, but just enough to test it. It doesn't take long at all. Paul Damos of Environmental Health shows us the way it's done.
San Diego County this season will maintain 3 separate flocks in different areas of the county.
Get the chicken relaxed, head down, a slight pinprick in the comb. Done. Now you put special filter paper on the comb.
This is where you collected the blood. This has to have the date and then the band number of that particular bird. After the blood is dry like this, you want to attach it to the submission card. And this card has the county's name, identification code, the site code. Each flock will have its own specific site. And then, of course, again, the day that this was bled.
These so-called sentinel chickens get bled every couple of weeks. There are 3 of these chicken flocks county-wide, but that's not all. Chickens are not the only weapons in the county's arsenal.
There are some conditions out there that can possibly cause a problem with mosquitoes.
Out there is Mission Trails Regional Park. A haven for nature, from water to waterfowl. Lots of water, dense growth, a perfect breeding ground for mosquitoes.
And this is so tight that the predators can't get in there, and it's hard for us to even apply our larvicides, which is the second biggest part of our IPM program with mosquito control.
They can take out some of the growth, but there are environmental concerns. Remove this, then you remove bird habitat. So a lot of that thick growth has to stay. So what do? The county puts up something called an EVS trap.
The trap consists of a bucket up on top here, where when you first put the bucket out, you have 4 pounds of dry ice. It lets off carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is very attractive to female mosquitoes. They're looking for that because they have learned that carbon dioxide is a byproduct of respiratory action of warm-blooded animals and birds and, of course, humans.
County specialists will put out the trap in the late afternoon when mosquitoes start to get active. The traps get collected the next morning. Sometimes they're full. They get taken back to the lab to be processed, where they'll be tested for any virus. Then there's this. Helicopters are often used to drop larvicide around ponds to stop mosquitoes. The larvicide is ground up corn cob laced with bacteria, lethal to mosquito larvae, harmless to people and wildlife. Don't forget about those mosquito-eating fish. And remember, they're only for home use.
They will do a great job of controlling the mosquitoes, and we don't have to, it's not something we have to use pesticides for, and it doesn't require that someone be going back to check it constantly, because once we put them in there, they'll pretty well take care of the situation.
Remember, they're free and you can find them in many locations around the county. From the field, we head inside. Coming up, how the county works inside the lab to battle West Nile virus. Well, so far we've learned about West Nile virus and what the County of San Diego is doing in the field to stop it. Now, let's go inside. West Nile virus and the laboratory. Living outdoors, San Diego County style. Sand, surf, mountains. A far cry from the sterile world of a lab. But when Mother Nature visits, she can leave behind this. And as we've learned, that usually leads to these bad news. Enter Al Wahardo, doctor, public health veterinarian.
And this is my office.
He spends his day looking for anything bad to be found inside animals.
The first thing that we will do is we'll go ahead and open up the body, do a complete physical examination in and out, and then we'll take tissue samples that pertain to this case. We can do cultures on it too, if we're considering that this might be an infectious disease process going on. Those tissues will be processed, put in formalin, then it will be cut, fixed in wax, and then we put on slides through special staining.
And that staining can identify cause of death. Remember, birds usually get it first, specifically members of the corvid family, crows, ravens, magpies, blue jays, and they're birds that don't move around much.
Usually tend to stay within a 20-mile radius. So they're good sentinel animals, they're good surveillance animals to find out whether or not they have West Nile.
Okay, then let's say it's happened. West Nile virus is here, and not just in a bird, but in a person, a human being, inside a hospital. What happens now?
We interview that individual immediately.
That is, if the person can talk.
We expedite testing for West Nile on that patient.
And the call would likely come first from a healthcare provider at a hospital. A patient might be sick and displaying signs of something that could be West Nile virus.
We would get the maximum amount of information that we could from that provider. How the patient presented, where they are currently, are they hospitalized, are they in a position to be interviewed, have they ordered some specific laboratory test. Then we would work with them to see that an appropriate specimen, in this case a blood sample, was obtained and sent to our laboratory so that we could expedite testing.
Tackling West Nile virus from the people side and from the animal side as well. It is plain to see West Nile virus is a concern. Is it time to panic? No, certainly not, but we do need to remain vigilant. And the best way to do that is to educate ourselves about the virus. Remember, the County of San Diego is doing everything possible to deal with West Nile virus in the field, in the lab, in the hospital. But ultimately, it rests with you. Learn about the virus. Take those precautions we discussed in this program. And remember, visit our website at sdfightthebite.com or call 888-551-INFO for the latest information. I'm Michael Russo. Thank you for watching.